Like, yeah, now's the time my internet wants to screw up. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? This is a very special edition of Keeping It Rio. I'm sure everybody's aware by now because I've said it for weeks. This is the 200th episode of Keeping It Rio. This show started in June of 2021, and now 200 weeks later, here we sit. Someone's spamming me on the phone at the moment, but it's all good. Episode 50 was a milestone of Keeping It Rio, in which we announced a wonderful sponsorship from Mike Code. Mike Code sponsored our show for a year. Episode 100, I had Benny Fisher, who was fresh off of an interview with Gary V. 150, the legend herself, Becca Switzer. And for 200, I have to go find someone that can top all of those combined. And ladies and gentlemen, I went and did it. And it wasn't that hard to do. It was just a simple phone call away. And I'm super happy because today's guest is making his second appearance. And he is coming to you live from the Mecca of college football, the home of the newly crowned national champions. And he will definitely downplay this and pretend like he's not a fan. But trust me, ladies and gentlemen, if this man had two more kids, a daughter and a son, he would name them Scarlet and Gray. But without any further hesitation, here we go. It is my honor to welcome back to the show the owner of Bradford Roofing Supply in Columbus, Ohio, as well as my business partner with Rio Blanco here in San Antonio, the one and only absolute legend himself, Mr. Jason Shumway. Welcome to the show, Chief. How's everything going over there in Columbus today? It looks warm.
Oh, man, it is not warm, Chuck. And as we all know, there's a polar vortex, and we have been well below zero this week, and it is not fun. With the uptick of contractors coming on board here with Bradford Roofing Supply, we've put in a very large winter buy, and we have been offloading shingles in sub-zero weather, and it is not fun, sir.
I have spent many a year out in forklifts in a shingle yard in Columbus, Ohio, offloading trucks in sub-zero degrees. So I understand exactly how you feel. My nose is permanently messed up because of that. So much respect for that. Let's dig into the episode. As you just mentioned, it's Bradford Roofing Supply, Central Ohio's newest sensation. And you guys are making a huge, huge move to secure your place in the market. And I want to start by asking you one thing. Bradford's been around now for what, about 8 months?
Yeah, we've been going in the path of the new business model that I created since about the first week of June of 2024. So yeah, give or take.
We're working on year one here of a independent, family-owned roofing supply company. The question I have to ask you, my friend, is what possessed you to come up with the idea to start a family-owned, independent roofing supply company in modern times? And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you've experienced in this first 8 months, but tell me a little bit about the inception. What was the motivation to start Bradford and get everything going to become a market disruptor as you have?
Yeah, there was a lot of things that went into the decision, Chuck, to go in the direction I did. The largest, I suppose, is just the insurance company and the contracting side of things is creating such a disruptor there that I just decided that I wanted to get back to the roots. So in the early 2000s, I started in the industry in distribution. I was with Allied Building Products, which that name is no longer either. They got bought out by Beacon. And then a lot of folks don't really realize this, but I was a minority partner in P&W Roofing Supply, which was your uptick in the distribution industry. So shout out P&W Roofing Supply, the Ash family, and many others. They are inspirational people, not only Jason, but his father, Jim Ash, who's having some health issues right now. We want to put some good vibes out there for Mr. Jim Ash.
We love Jim. There's no doubt about that. I would not be sitting here today speaking to you if it were not for Jim Ash. So much love to P&W, much love to everybody that's been involved with that company. I spent over a decade there in Columbus, and I got an opportunity to go to Charlotte and do similar to what you're doing. We got to open up a branch from scratch, so I have a pretty good understanding of the trials and tribulations and the frustrations that can go along with it. And none of that is lost on me. And I think I probably tell you this at least once a week. I'm amazed by how well you're doing, because it probably on paper shouldn't be doing as well as it is, just based on the scene and the way that things are developed here in our industry. But you got into this and you decided to go all in, full bore with it. And the first point of business when you start a roofing supply company, obviously it's an idea, and you've got to have something to sell. You've got to have people to sell to. You've got to have a location. Tell us a little bit about how this all went about as far as securing a place, and then we'll kind of dive into how you're able to get your product lines, taken care of, and then the most important aspect, which is finding people to frequent your business.
Absolutely. So the property I identified is in Milford Center, Ohio, just outside of Marysville. Central Ohio, Columbus, Franklin County is growing at a rate, as well as Delaware and Union County, that rivals anywhere in the entire country. So I decided to pick the location I did here outside of Marysville. The Central Ohio market, or specifically the Franklin County and Columbus market, is very, very, very saturated with distribution. It's I didn't necessarily want to go up against that. I am now. I'm successfully getting quite a few contractors in the Columbus area. But the location I chose was so I could actually hit northern Cincinnati, Dayton, Springfield, and even go north of there off of I-75. And then some of the growing communities that we have up the 33 corridor, kind of heading toward northern Ohio. So it's just kind of a really easy location from the standpoint of logistics, and being able to hit some of the lesser markets and lesser congested markets within the distribution model. Now, that's created some issues. I have some contractors out on the east side of Columbus, and it's a haul from here, and it takes a good amount of time to get product even on the east side of Columbus. But we're working through those kind of growing pains and making sure that as we grow, we route trucks in a fashion that makes sense with a logistical model.
Yep. I think that's the most important thing when you're getting started, because, you kind of set yourself out there and you work with the people that are willing to work with you on the front end. And the big name people are not jumping to come work with you right off the bat until you kind of establish yourself. You've got to kind of diversify and spread yourself kind of thin. And I'm very familiar with that. I remember when we were down in Charlotte, I would, literally I would run the office during the day and I'd do deliveries at night. And it was, all over town. We'd get one over here, one over there. And being able to kind of figure out the best route to make it the most economic for the company as well as the most efficient was always a challenge. But we're up for the challenge. We make it happen. So you've got your location in Milford Center. It's a cool location. You guys have done some modifications to the building and really made it look cool. And that's a nice area to be a part of for sure. Like you said, you can kind of go out and hit some of those smaller communities where maybe the contractors don't get as much love. They don't get the priority from some of the big boys as far as, it's tough to get a early morning delivery to Milford Center when you've got 15 guys in Columbus that are looking for it as well. So I think you kind of can find your little groove to fit into as far as that goes. And as you continue to evolve, it's just going to get better and you're going to be able to spread out a little more. But getting started, it's very well known in the roofing industry right now. The allocation is a big thing. I was having lunch with our Atlas rep here in San Antonio the other day, and they were talking about allocation with their product. I know it's, with all the things that have gone on around the country, starting a roofing supply company without having major backing from one of the big names, got to be a little bit difficult getting yourself some product to get yourself out into the market with. So Tell us a little bit about how you were able to secure your product lines initially and how this evolution has kind of worked for you to where now seems like you're doing pretty damn well and you've got yourself a nice little product line. You've got a full line, a full color palette. What was it like though, getting started into this venture when suppliers and manufacturers are kind of hoarding their stuff and giving it to their friends, so to speak?
Absolutely. We somewhat honed in on our current business model, and I'll make reference to the current business model a few times here because my former business model that I started early last year, late in 2023, had some seconds and had some hitches in it that I decided I didn't want to be a part of. I wanted to go all A grade. I want to be delivering warranted, good quality products to the professional roofing contractor. But we were able to get going with the seconds and have an understanding at a low buy-in at that point, where a truck of shingles now, it's very expensive. And we all know that there was multiple manufacturers speak of an increase here going in the next quarter. And it's the largest I've seen in 25 years in the industry. They've all announced a 10% increase on shingles. So it's not going to stop. You're going to find me jumping all over the place. Sorry, ADHD big time here, but we'll back up to your question. I've been in the industry and I've really worked on creating a name for myself and my different businesses I'm associated with. Never burning bridges, always paying my bills, always being on time, being respectful of others, all the same things that I try to reiterate and praise to my two teenage daughters, Grace and Nora. And I just believe that with my affiliation with P&W Roofing Supply, it was kind of a perfect storm. I had to make a few calls and well, a lot more than a few calls, but I had to make probably hundreds of calls, and got really opened up by some great manufacturers and COD. I was COD on a lot of the beginning orders of all of this. This whole entire business is built with my own cash, out of my own pocket, out of my own bank account. It's not loans. It is my hard-earned money from the last 20, 25 years of grinding. So that's my biggest, I guess, I don't want to pat myself on the back because I really at this point haven't done a whole lot yet. But I do like to tell people that this isn't built with PE money. This isn't built with large investor money. This is built with love, hard work, and my personal investment. So when I say it's a small family-owned business, the family-owned portion is me and my children and the staff I have here. We're all in. There's no failing. There's no second chance. We have all of our eggs in one basket here, and we are going full force. Over the last week, I'm not going to say names just quite yet, but we've had a very large roofing contractor in Central Ohio commit to us for 2025. They were a multi-million-dollar material purchaser in 2024, and we are just absolutely thrilled and very honored that they would take a stance to give an opportunity to a small startup company like ours here at Bradford Roofing Supply. I've got to give a tremendous shout out to Angie. She did accounting for P&W Roofing Supply for nearly 30 years. Angie is working for Bradford Roofing Supply and taking care of all of the back ends. Dennis came in and set up all of our IT just like we had at P&W, almost exactly. So with Angie being a little bit older, we'll say, I want to be respectful because she's still amazing and knowledgeable and very, very able. But I didn't want to create a system that was going to be too overwhelming and too burdensome on somebody to learn. Our model here at Bradford Roofing Supply is the KISS model. So if you ever hear it, give it a kiss that day, KISS is what we love. We love to keep it simple, stupid. We're not going to be have a corporate model with multiple layers of management and multiple layers of this and that. If you're buying from us, you are just a phone call away to get an answer. And if that answer can't be garnered, it's because over 75 years of experience in this office does not know it, but we will find that answer for you. And I'm not going to bullshit anybody. I'm not going to lead them down the wrong path and give them false professional information. I'm just going to flat out tell you, I don't know, but I will work my hardest to figure that out and find out the answers for that for you. So just Chuck, kind of the cornerstone and the understanding that you and I have personally, and that's don't steal from me, tell me the truth, and good, bad, or indifferent, just give it to me. If somebody makes, that's what I tell everybody. Derek is my main driver here, and we've got other players in the mix as well. But Derek took a leap of faith with me. He was going to go and start his own landscaping company, and I really want to shine light on Derek and his family. They've made great sacrifices. At the beginning of this, I definitely couldn't pay him what he's worth. I couldn't pay him, what the market rate or the going rates were. But Derek stuck with me. I've been able to elevate his pay as we're making some money on a little bit of business now. But the people are what drives and has a business thriving. And my people and my team and my family are very supportive of this. My parents are tremendously supportive. I'm a single full-time father of 2 teenage daughters, and it's very, very, very challenging. So my support system with my neighbors and my personal friends and great people and business partners like yourself, Chuck, are what makes this possible. I could not do this without a great team.
You hit the nail on the head right there with the experience level that you guys have. And I do want to just clarify one thing. Angie Davis has been in the industry for over 30 years. She's only 39 years old, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't understand how that works, but I've worked with Angie for over a decade, and she is one of the greatest people. And when you talk about honesty and you talk about people that are going to be thorough, that are going to be loyal and committed, there's nobody that can top Angie. And we appreciate her, all the way down here in San Antonio for sure. We worked together, and she was one of my favorite coworkers of all time. To be able to secure someone like that in the starting phase of this business is huge. And I know that you're aware of how huge that is, and very grateful for that. Finding the other pieces of the puzzle along the way as you go. And you really hit on something. When you first start, you've got to convince people that this is a dream that's going to succeed. And sometimes that's a little harder to do than it sounds. Just, hey, come with me. It's going to be awesome. Trust me. There are people that are going to just say, hey, you know what? I know this guy and I believe in him. I'm going to jump on. You talk about your staff. Tell me a little bit about each individual, like I say, Angie does the accounting stuff over there. You've got a warehouse guy. You've got a driver. You're running multiple deliveries on any given day. And I know for a fact that you're out there doing stuff yourself. And that really emphasizes this small business, service-oriented, family-owned mentality that you've built. And I think it's very refreshing because, as everyone in our roofing industry knows, sometimes you walk into a place and you're a number. You're not, not treated like you're, a piece of crap or anything, but you realize that you're not a top priority. So when you start this, you've got to go out and find some customers, obviously, that you can sell your products to. Like you said, when it first began, you were maybe a little bit on the lower end as far as the quality of product because of what you were able to get. Tell me about how you were able to go out and find some contractors that were willing to say, hey, you know what, Jason, I'm on with you, bro. Let's do this. And what it's been like trying to maintain the level of customer service as you've added onto your roster of clientele.
Yeah, that's been hard. That's been very hard. And I, shout out and very much thankful for everybody that has given us an opportunity. I, the biggest thing that the come up in this distribution side of things, you hear so many people wanting to do it or trying it. It's very, 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 very cash heavy. You've got to be very secure, and I tell everybody. I heard another roofing contractor the other day say, "Yeah, we were thinking about doing it." I said, "Don't even think about it. Forget about it unless you have 2.5 million plus in cash sitting around that you're willing to put on the line and lose every nickel of it, because that's the kind of trust and kind of faith you have to have in yourself." Now, back to the customer base, we were grinding. We were grinding on flippers. We were grinding on. When I started this, I did a survey of 35 small to medium-sized contractors, Chuck, and the biggest thing, and I'm sure where you got that about being just the number is, probably, I think about 28 out of 35 of the small and medium-sized contractors that I did a survey with said just that. With all the consolidation in the industry, and actually, let me interject this real fast. You won't hear me talk negatively about the big boys in the industry, the ABCs, the SRSs, the Beacons, the local guys or the more regional guys. There is a place for those businesses. I cannot service everyone. And those large corporate business models are a absolute must. Even the big boxes, Home Depot and Lowe's and things like that are moving roofing materials as well. Those business models are absolutely necessary. And I have dear friends that work for the other distributors. I have dear friends that are in ownership and management at other distributors. And I pat them all on the back for their growth model and their model to succeed with multiple locations within the state or multiple locations throughout the country. So I just needed to interject that, because everybody thinks it's kind of us against them, and it's really not. At the end of the day, I don't have competition. My competition is me. I wake up every single morning, and Chuck, you have done a great job to motivate me on the professional side of the personal side of things, to get my mind and get my body right to be able to go out here and battle. And I've done just that. I've gotten my spiritual, my physical, my mental side of things, and I'm at the top of my game right now. And I couldn't do that without, again, going back to the team I have. So, but I went so far off with ADD right here on your first question, but getting and building what I've done right now has been 1,000% relationship transactions. Everything is transactional that we do, especially in the distribution side of things. So I can say with confidence that my reputation in the industry has gotten me farther in the last year than it did the previous 20 years. Because you kind of stand on your word. You stand on your principles. You stand on your ability to fulfill your obligations when you get into the distribution side of things. The contracting side of things is transactional, but and especially in the residential markets, it's transactional at a rate that if you're doing a good job for somebody, you might only have a transaction with them 2, maybe 3 times in their entire life. Where on the distribution side of things, you want those transactional relationships to be minimum, weekly, monthly, weekly, but more so than anything, daily or hourly with some of the larger contractors or customers that we have. So, and building those relations with the contractors and with the manufacturers and with the intermediaries that we have that go on are something that I really have prided myself on, and done that with the utmost amount of respect. If I don't like a product line, I'm not going to badmouth it. If I don't like an intermediary distribution company, I'm not going to badmouth them. They have a place. They've put that work in themselves to create that business and their relationships that they have with other people, and I respect that. So instead of burning a bridge, or instead of being just kind of a somebody that gets pissed off over something that's not gonna work for you, it could work for other people, but that didn't work for me. So hats off to a lot of folks in this industry. Again, Jason and Jim Ash. And I want to go all the way back to my beginning roots in this business. Rest in peace, Carol and Dick Baker. They own Dick Baker Roofing here in Columbus, Ohio. Dick took me under his wing when I was a young, dumb, and full of whatever. I was full of myself at that point in time. Dick and a lot of his group there took me in, and I was the youngest in that whole entire group by almost 50 years. I was in my 20s. Everybody else was in their late 60s, 70s, 80s, some of them even in their 90s that he was introducing me to. So as much as I'm talking right now, and as much as people know I'm kind of boisterous and a loudmouth, I sat back in a lot of those meetings and didn't say anything but my name for upwards of 6 months. And they weren't interested in teaching me what to do. They taught me what not to do. What not to do led me to not have the lawyer bills and the lawsuits and the bad name and the ill will and the disrespectfulness and the everything else that goes into this industry. And it just goes all the way back to the roots of being kind, being respectful, and trying to not step on somebody to get ahead.
Yep. And you're spot on. With me, it's the same exact thought process, and it always has been. And I think that's why we get along so well. I have a lot of friends in the roofing industry nationwide, contractors, suppliers, everybody in between. And here in San Antonio, it's a pretty competitive market. I'm not going to lie. It's more competitive than I thought it was when I moved here 6 years ago. And sometimes it's a little difficult, but there are, several different organizations where roofing company owners will meet, and we'll have lunch once a month, and we'll discuss certain things, and people will bring in people that are helping their business and share that information willingly so that we can elevate as an industry. And then you've also got that underbelly where everybody hates everybody. And, if it's not me, then screw you. And we're always going to have that. I was talking with the guy the other day, and it was like, the barrier of entry into the roofing industry is pretty low. Here in Texas, there's no licensing or anything like that. Anybody can start a company and go out and basically try to live the American dream. But I think that the people that have that mindset of collaboration over competition, and also understanding, like you said, just because it doesn't work for me doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. And having the respect around everybody that's in this business, because it is difficult. We all have to go out on a daily basis and try to kill what we eat. And it's not the easiest thing in the world to do sometimes. There are outside forces that are completely out of our control. We have to rely on things that we have no way to alter or change. And sometimes it can be a little sketchy and scary, but having that mindset, and like you said, being brought into the industry around people like that. And I was very blessed. I got to be around Jim Ash. I got to be around all the guys at P&W for, over a decade. And it showed me just what you said. We can all get along together. We can all still be friends. We do business. It's kind of like, I don't remember what the cartoon, but it was like Wile E. Coyote and that dog or whatever, where they clock in and he'd put his hat on. They hate each other for 8 hours. They clock out and they'd go grab dinner. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about this industry. And I think that personal touch and that relational mindset is what really separates your small family-owned company from some of the bigger ones. And when you do that, I think a lot of people really appreciate it. I think a lot of the people that have been around for a while, that have gotten shuffled around, maybe aren't as happy as they used to be because they're not being treated as well as they think they should. They find a guy that's been doing it, that understands from their perspective, because you do have multiple roofing businesses as well. And you know what it's like to be a contractor. You know what it's like to see some of the things that contractors have to go through, some of the frustrations, and then to be able to focus on those and say, hey, look, this is what's pissing you off, but I'm going to make it good over here because it pisses me off too. And I think that's almost like a magnetic type situation for you. You start getting these customers in, you're starting to build your company's roster as far as clientele goes. You've got some equipment. And I remember when we started in Charlotte, we had some like bootleg, like super crappy equipment. We had one nice truck and everything else was like total garbage. And I'd have, our trucks would break down and all this stuff, but it's what we had. We were getting started. So tell me a little bit about what you've got to actually facilitate your clients. You said you've got a full-time driver. What's your full-time driver riding around in? What kind of issues, if any, have you seen with startup company equipment? Because you don't just come in and buy brand new Kenworths and say, all right, let's do it.
Yeah. I probably a lot of people haven't heard this word since the 80s and 90s, but we started this business with some hoopties, man. I'm not going to lie. Our first truck, we thought it had 300 or 400,000 miles on it. Come to find out it had rolled over and it was like 1.3 million or 1.4 million. So, it's been challenging. But ultimately the fleet is improving. Our equipment is improving. I've taken no money from this business. I am not stripping this business to live. I'm not stripping this business to live some lavish life. I'm very, it doesn't take a whole lot for me. I don't need flashy this or flashy that. I bought a new vehicle for myself, and it was I love Toyota Sequoias, and it was a 2014 Toyota Sequoia that I paid for in cash with 80,000 miles on it. Some old fella just drove his bass boat around for 10 years. And so I don't need a whole lot. So it's all about investing back in this business. And the fleet is upgrading weekly, monthly, quarterly. I'm reinvesting everything that's made in any profits right now. And to kind of come full circle to one of your questions earlier, I had an opportunity. IKO came to me with some winter buy numbers, and I foreseen the potential of first and second quarter price increases, and I didn't know how. I still don't know how. I'm going to pay for it all, but I've got resources. I'm not going to, I'm not saying anything like that, but I made a 50-plus truck winter buy of IKO Dynasties, and we are going to have their full lineup of 14 colors. So that's well over $1 million worth of shingles that I committed to, and I have to take all of them by April. So do we have space for that? Hell no. Do I anticipate there being some shuffling and some issues? Absolutely. But Milford Center, Ohio is a very, very, very small one stoplight, little burg. And I've made tremendous relationships within the small community here with a lot of the farmers. I have a warehouse space down the street with a dock that one of the farmers owns and is leasing to me very, very, very inexpensively. And there's a bunch of yard space for me to put some of these trucks of shingles in. So my relationships, not only within the business, but within my community here, has only strengthened and is only going to continue to strengthen as we grow this business.
Yep, absolutely. And I that just brings back so many good memories for me when I was in Charlotte, where 2010, I'll never forget this day. I bought a brand new car. First time in my life, I bought a brand new car because I was going to travel back and forth to Ohio quite a bit. needed something. I convinced myself I needed a brand new car, even though the one I had was great. And that day, Charlotte got hit with the biggest hailstorm in a 30-year period. And it was crazy because, you know, if you ever need a hailstorm, let me know. I'll buy a brand new car. But that next morning, I'm in our office at Capital City Roofing Supply in Charlotte, and we're just ordering truck after truck after truck after truck. And I think we spent over $1 million in one day. I tell people, you know, I've seen that happen before. I was part of it. And we had a tiny little warehouse. And all of a sudden, we've got all these trucks coming. We had to start coming up with some craziness. And we had a shop over on one side of town. We had another little building over by our office that had no electricity. It had dirt floors, but we were just putting stuff in. And at one point, I was having to go in at like 3 o'clock in the morning just to shuffle the materials out of the warehouse so we could actually work during the day. And then at the end of the day, it would take me 3 or 4 hours to put everything back in. And I was literally spending 8 hours of my 16-hour day just doing that. And boy, what an amazing experience. I'm thankful that I made it out of there. And I don't really remember much of it because it was kind of all just a blur, but I can appreciate it, right? So you've got the foresight, at least, that we didn't. I'm not saying we didn't have the foresight, but we didn't see it coming as far as the hailstorm and all that. And you've got the ability to kind of take some of this material on, but now we got to start selling some materials. And it's right now, I think you said it was about 4 degrees in Columbus. Not a lot of roofing going on at the moment. So what are you guys doing to get yourself ready to go out and continue to expand that customer base so that when, you know, here in a month or two, when spring hits in Columbus and it's beautiful again and everybody's ready to roof, you guys are hitting the ground running?
Absolutely. It's been great. The relationships and the people that we've been able to touch over the last 2 months, with it being super cold, is I'm very, very grateful for that. You know, my initial goals were, you know, get this thing. We did over $1 million last year. I was hoping to, you know, hit that 2 to 3, maybe 4 this year. And then we just said, absolutely, you know, brought some other people on that we can speak of at a later podcast. Not really necessarily wanting to break it to the live audience at this point, but right now, I mean, the way I look at it, 40 weeks, 150 squares a day, with these crazy material prices, which I'm on the same boat as everybody. I think it's exorbitant, but trust me, we're trying to make 10% net. So I am not the one that's making these 30, 40, 50, 80% margins. I can well assure you that the distribution is all about volume. If you can't pump out volume, you are not going to make any money. So we have dialed it in to where, let's see here, read it off my board. 150 squares daily is about $135,000 a week times 40 weeks equals $5.4 million is our goal for 2025. So as well as you are, I'm one that likes to write my goals down. And we also have a calendar sitting here, and I have Ange writing down our weekly sales by the week. So once we get into season, if I see we only did 70, 80, 90,000, I know, hey, we're behind that week, $45,000. We got to grind. We got to find it. We got to go. We got to go, and we got to do this because ultimately the success of my team is on.
Uh-oh. I think Jason just went dark on us, ladies and gentlemen. There he is. I can't hear you. Hang on a second. This is the joy of going live. I can't hear you, bro. Can't hear you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're live. Episode 200. While we're figuring this one out, we got the Roof Don checking in. And Marquise is no stranger to live episodes and having weird things happen with the sound. We shall get it figured out. You may have to back out and come back in, potentially. as the Roof Don has also pointed out at that same moment. But anyways, while we're waiting for Jason to get that figured out, ladies and gentlemen, let me give a shout out to my sponsors at Roofer. I love everybody at Roofer. They're keeping me hydrated at this episode today with this beautiful new Yeti cup that I just got. How about now? You got me now? I see him. Live episodes are awesome. But we're talking about Roofer. No? Huh. I don't know. This is a strange scenario. I guess everybody else can hear me. Can you hear me, Marquise? Let me know if you can hear what I'm saying. But in the meantime, I'm going to tell you guys about Roofer. And I'm also going to play this ad real quick because I am very grateful for my sponsors at Roofer, the creators of the Roofer CRM. Give me 20 seconds and I'll be back here to tell you a little bit more about it if we don't have our technical issues figured out, which I feel like we're about to have them figured out. I see some stuff going on in the background. So check this out from Roofer and we'll be right back.
We're Roofer. We know that managing a roofing business can be chaotic, so we created a single platform with all the tools you need to easily run your roofing business. Stop switching between multiple different softwares and experience streamlined operations from lead to payment in hours instead of days. Visit roofr.com to get started for free today.
Okay, how about now? Can you hear me?
You got
there
me.
We go, ladies and gentlemen, the joy of live television, live production. We got that on lockdown, and I got to thank my sponsors, Roofer, who sent me an amazing swag pack this week. If you're not signed up with Roofer for your roofing company, I don't know. I've been saying it for like going on 2.5 years now. If you haven't done it yet, something's wrong with you. So anyways, we were talking before we were so rudely cut off by technology about the ins and outs of doing your deal here. And let me get rid of the comments. Marquise was keeping me busy there with his commentary as well. But you've got full product lines. You were talking about IKO. You've got all 14 colors available, which is a rarity in distribution nowadays. Most companies keep the popular 8 or 10. You've got to special order some stuff. But tell us a little bit about some of the other product lines that you've got. And also, shingles are no good without accessories. So tell us a little bit about the accessories you've got at Bradford Roofing Supply as well, and some of the other things that you can help the contractors out with as far as that goes.
Absolutely, Chuck. So we actually have six colors of the Certainteed Landmark. We wanted to have kind of two lines. There for a while, I still have some GAF as well, but we decided we're going to get rid of the GAF line and really focus heavily on the IKO dynasties and have the Certainteed Landmarks be a backup for us. One of the things that I noticed is a true dedicated Certainteed contractor is nearly impossible to flip over to IKO, whereas it's been a little easier for me to work with some of the other manufacturers, clients to get them to try our number one line. So that's kind of the thought process behind that. The accessories are what gets expensive, and they get expensive fast. So, and a lot of it, I have some relationships directly from some manufacturing facilities in China. Some people say yes, some people say no. I get it, but all of our nails, all of our synthetic felt, our pipe boots, some of our drip edges, we're buying manufacturer direct. We're buying at a price that even some of the big boys that I know their pricing, or I've heard of their pricing, we're buying similar to them, if not even possibly even a little lower than them. Our containers are coming directly, like I said, from China with those materials on it. And what that allows us is to properly price our roofing packages to the professional roofing contractors, similar to what these billion-dollar companies are. Am I always lower, or am I always right there with them? Absolutely not. There's just certain products that cost me more, and I've come to understand and be okay with that. I can't be everything to everyone. So, but We have private labeled synthetic felt with Bradford Roofing Supply on it. We have private labeled boxes of coil nails that come from similar plants that have some of the larger manufacturers, Stinger and things like that. Our pipe boots that we have are high quality. The ridge vent, Lamanco is, in my opinion, the leader in ventilation in the industry.
Absolutely.
And specifically, the rep we have here in Central Ohio just does an absolute amazing job to promote, to educate not only the contractors, but to put things out there on YouTube so the homeowners understand what ventilation is. So I brought in a truck 2 weeks ago that's over down at my dock, and it was a full truck of ridge vent is 7,200 pieces of ridge vent. It's a very, very large investment, nearly $100,000 for one truck of ventilation. So it's a lot of money, and it's a major investment. But I am not only investing in products I believe in, I'm investing in products that are relevant. I'm investing in products that are proven, and I'm investing in the products and the people that represent them.
I love it, man. And you're spot on with that mentality. And I always tell people, I try to put as many posts up as I can about Bradford Roofing Supply, that this is not a discount or a secondhand type facility by any means. You guys have got the experts in the building. You've got experience. You've got the quality products that are not coming from the back door of the plants. They're coming from the front door. You're getting quality things developed into the systems that you're putting out there. And I guess the next question I have is, if you're one of those, small to mid-range contractors, like under $1 million to $3 million, what would the expectation be if you were buying your products from one of the big boys and then you moved over to Bradford? Would it be fairly comparable, do you say, or would they be expecting, hey, you could maybe get a little bit more from us as far as service, but there is a little bit more cost involved? Or how does that all look if you're kind of like a mid-range, regular Rio Blanco type roofing company? I might just end up buying all my stuff from you and having it shipped direct.
Well, I tell you, I'm competitive. I'm competitive. I've been able to buy right. That's one of the things that I actually really pride myself on. Is I don't try to beat people up, but at the same point in time, I want to be fair. And let's face it, I just brought a truck of Ice Guard in, and they didn't necessarily, or 2 trucks of Ice Guard in. They didn't necessarily, as a startup, want to extend financing to me or extend a credit line. I said, no problem. That's fine. I don't take disrespect to that. But if you're going to get paid now for product you're going to deliver here in another couple weeks or a month, then there's money to be saved on that. So I'm actually using some of the things that people would think as a negative and making it a positive, because I'm asking for those prepayment discounts. And what that allows is for me to have product on the ground that is actually potentially even cheaper than, say, what the big boys are paying for, because they might have 30, 60, 90-day terms. But if it's a smaller manufacturer, and that's what I'm trying to do also, is position myself with the small to medium, and if it's got to go large, I want to go large. IKO was a decision I made. A lot of folks don't realize IKO is a family-owned company, okay? IKO just spent approximately $3 billion, with the B, $3 billion in infrastructure and technology in the last 5 years. No loans, no private equity money. This is their family money that IKO has saved over the years to grow at some point, and now was the time to do it. A lot of folks don't know that IKO actually makes some of the products for some of the other major manufacturers, And a lot of those other major manufacturers owe IKO millions of dollars. So it's really at the end of the day, it's much tighter knit on the manufacturing side of things than people realize. And a lot of distributors, most manufacturers don't want to hear it or don't want people talking about it. But frankly, I really don't give a shit. I'm going to put out there the truth, and the truth is that I partnered with IKO because they are not interested in putting out a 50-year warranty on shingles, because we all know they're not lasting for 50 years. And they don't want to saddle 2 generations down the line with lawsuits because some lawyer got a 50-year roof and everybody knows damn well it's not lasting 50 years.
That's a very good point, and I don't think I could have said that any better. And I really appreciate the fact that you're working with the family organization rather than the conglomerate that's billions and billions of dollars annually in revenue. IKO has really stepped their game up over the course of the last several years, like you said, and like a couple other manufacturers. Atlas is a great example. I was having lunch with my manufacturer rep from Atlas the other day, and I told him, back in the day when I was in Charlotte, we had their regional sales manager come in, and that was when Atlas had really kind of a poor reputation. It was kind of the bottom of the barrel product. They came in and asked all of the distribution people, what can we do? What are your contractors telling us that we need to do to make it better? And they adapted all of those things, and they put them into their new products. And I believe Atlas is now up towards the top of the list as far as that goes. And I'm proud to work with them as well. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, because I know that a bunch of my friends have been on vacations here lately. They have larger scale roofing companies. They're out there going on these giant trips and stuff and getting all these rewards. As a small family owned company, that's not something that would typically be expected. But Jason Shumway, ladies and gentlemen, this man smashes through expectations. He brings stuff to the table that other people don't bring. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're offering to your contractors for their loyalty, for their business, some of the things that they can earn for being a Bradford Roofing Supply contractor.
Absolutely. I'm really proud and excited of this one. Roatan Island, Honduras is near and dear to my heart. It's a great community. The folks on the island are top notch. Contrary to what some people say, it is safe. It's very safe. Mainland Honduras, I'm not going to speak of it, but Roatan is approximately a 5 to 7 mile wide by 26 mile long island. So it's a fairly large island as far as the Caribbean islands go. So I personally have a place down there, and I am in the midst right now of putting a rewards trip together. I've secured the location. I'm working with one of the large national, worldwide airlines. It's 10 months out before you could start booking that. So I got a couple months before I can really dial down and get it together with them. But I've already put the works together to take a rewards trip for the top tiered contractors, even the middle tier contractors. I've set the gates at something that's reasonable for even a small to medium sized contractor to be able to get a position for them and a sales rep, or them and a manager, or even them and a spouse to go down. Here's one of the big points I want to hit on. It's not for everybody, but 3.5 years ago, my daughter came to me and said, "Daddy, I like you better when you're not drinking." October 9th of 2021, I decided that alcohol was not for me in the current capacity. So I plan, and those that are drinking and want to party and have a good time, I'm not shunning that, but at the same light, I'm looking to make this a trip that is worthy of somebody's memory. And a lot of folks don't realize Roatan Island, Honduras has the second largest barrier reef, beyond the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, and you can get on the beach where we're going to be staying and swim only about 30 yards out and be over top of some of the most beautiful coral reef you will ever see in your entire life. And people can go on Bradford Roofing Supply's Facebook page and see this coral reef from my personal dives. Last time I went diving, I took a professional photographer to take some pictures, and it'll absolutely take your breath away.
I love it. And the point that I wanted you to make there, which you hit a home run, was it's not something that's going to be unattainable if you're not a huge contractor. A lot of the times people get discouraged because they see their friends going on these trips and it's like, damn, I'm in a bum market, or my company's just not big enough and I can't make those numbers. You're making it very attainable for multi-levels and really emphasizing, like you say, the family atmosphere. It's not going to be a let's go over here and get hammered in Honduras type scenario. And I appreciate that. I haven't had anything to drink either in over a year, and I never had any kind of an alcohol problem, but I feel a hell of a lot better and seem to have more money and things. Nothing seems to be going wrong that was going wrong before when I was drinking a little bit. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you're making it something that's attainable for those guys, because that's really a huge benefit that, that's probably a more badass trip than some of the ones that the big dogs are giving. I'll be honest. And to have the personal touch, you're going to be there. You're going to be, kind of the tour guide, kind of the dude that's going to, set everything up and really kind of run the whole program. That's second to none as far as independent distribution goes. And I don't know of any others that have a program like that. So kudos to you.
And some of the things that we're going to be doing there, swimming with the dolphins, the glass bottom boat rides. I got a couple young guys that are super, super aggressive and excited down there because they started their own basically tour guide business down there. And I've already called and talked to them, and we go through WhatsApp because it's just easier for international communication. But I've already gotten a hold of the two of them, and they're so excited because they are going to be the backbone to the guides for the glass bottom boats and the fishing trips and the swimming with the dolphins, and the beach. The beach is the 5th ranked beach in the world. It'll take your breath away. Just go to my Facebook page at Bradford Roofing Supply and take a look at some of those pictures, because it's that almost white, grainy, it's just amazing experience. It's hard to explain in words because it is truly that beautiful. That's probably what I'm most excited about. But let me make this point real quick, Chuck. I am the decision maker in this business. The buck stops here. No pun intended. But the SOPs that I create within my company are something that I have control to. I don't want to say break, because but bend.
Adapt and modify.
Adapt and modify. So I've heard from so many people over the last 3 months. Well, I came, $40 or $400 shy of attaining this trip, or getting this next gate, or getting this or getting that. Thinking to myself, are you kidding me? $400, and I literally heard this from a client the other day. $400 shy to be able to, and he was gonna actually not go himself and send one of his office managers along with the office manager's wife. That's who was going to go. So it wasn't, and that absolutely made me furious that over $400 somebody was going to say flat out, no, there's no bending the rules. There's no bending the procedures or what it is. And let me say, I understand it-ish, but there's got to be some human element and to be able to adjust and adapt to these numbers and adapt to these principles and processes. Because, again, we'll roll it back to my keep it simple, stupid, and the KISS model I have here. If it makes sense, it makes sense. Let's get back to a country that has something that we've lost so much of, and that frustrates me, and that's common sense. Let's have some common sense. Let's have some decency. Let's have some heart. And not sending somebody that's been loyal to you for 7 years for $400 is some of the most ignorant shit I've ever heard.
Yep, very well said. And that's, I'd like to say that that's unbelievable, but I've seen it many times myself, so I know it's true, and it is unfortunate. But you're creating this opportunity. You're going to create the loyalty to your brand. The next question I've got, and we'll start winding this thing down. We're at the hour mark now, but I'm going to wind this down with a couple more things. The first thing I want to ask is, you've got the development, you're 8 months deep, you've got a full product line from IKO, your equipment is improving daily, you've got your team in place, you guys are making things happen. What does the future look like for Bradford Roofing Supply? And you've mentioned yourself, you've got 2 daughters, you're a single father, sole custody of your kids. They're your life. I know that for a fact. We talk almost daily on the phone, so I know this, with all my heart, how much they mean to you. What does the future for Bradford Roofing Supply look like, 1, 3, 5, 10 years down the road in your mind? And obviously, the card is always subject to change. And if the right offer comes along, I'm sure you could probably be swept off your feet. But if everything goes according to the way that you have it in your vision, what does it look like?
Ultimately, Chuck, what I've put in place and the SOPs I've put in place are exactly where I want to be. We are going to have strategic partners. And I was at a nice lunch meeting with a contractor and owner of a very large, successful roofing company yesterday. And I told him, ultimately, Bradford Roofing Supply is not going to have hundreds of clients. We're not going to have hundreds of clients. We are going to find a sweet spot with our however many clients it takes to get to a dollar figure. And I am not putting sales reps to go pound doors at contractor, trying to blow this up to some $20 million company. That is not my goal. I have to stick with the principles and the KISS model that I've created here. And I am not willing, or I am not going to turn this into a 20, 50, $100 million company. It's just not of interest to me. I want to keep this a small, family-owned, personal. Yesterday, the lunch meeting we had, it was all about his children, all about his wife, and all about the things that I love so much with P&W Roofing Supply, which was my roots. At P&W, we knew names, we knew birth dates, and in here in the office had a calendar full of not only the employees' birth dates, but our customers' birth dates, our customers' kids' birth dates. And I do not, I do not want that to be lost. And if we take it beyond the capabilities of the small business I'm trying to create here, we'll lose that personal touch, and I'm not interested to be in the industry at that point.
There you go, folks. I love that mindset. And you do have a very defined goal and a very defined plan on how to make it happen. I have no doubt in my mind that it's going to be hugely successful. And we were just talking about this yesterday. You've exceeded everybody's expectations already as far as what an independent roofing supply company in 2024, 25 should even be remotely doing. And I see this continuing to grow and move forward. You've got your base. You're still picking up some people. So the last question I'm going to end Keepin' It Rio episode 200 with is very simple. Some of our friends over in Central Ohio, I've been harping on this a lot on my Facebook. Every time you do a live, I share it and I add a little commentary about how Bradford's the company you want to be working with. If anybody's on the fence, they've been happy with where they are. Maybe they're not quite happy, but they feel like, these guys that I'm with are big. Therefore, there's a lot of stability. If they want to take a chance and say, hey, you know what? I like what this guy's saying. I like what he's doing. I like his mentality. I like the family-oriented business. What is the best way for a Central Ohio or down the road there into, you know, the Cincinnati region, like you said, what's the best way for someone to get on board with you?
Absolutely, Chuck. I appreciate you asking that. And you know what, it's almost hard for me to even find the office number here. It's a 937 number, and I don't know it because 614-306-7414 is my personal cell phone. That's what a lot of this is being run through. Bradford Roofing Supply at gmail.com or Bradford Roofing Supply's Facebook page through Messenger. Those are 3 ways you can reach out to us. We can go over your business. We can go over your goals. We can go over your long-term, short-term, near-term. And I'm happy to look into if we can be of assistance to you. But I will leave it with this, Chuck. I am not for everybody. I am not for every individual. My business, my company, my team is not for somebody that's not going to appreciate the hard work that goes in to building, running, and being successful at a roofing distribution company, steep slope specifically. Because I will not allow my staff to be disrespected. And if somebody is going to disrespect my staff or myself at a level that's not, we all have bad days. We all blow up or we all say stupid shit but if somebody is going to be consistently negative or is going to be consistently disrespectful to my staff, they will not be a customer of Bradford Roofing Supply.
That's right. Hit the bricks. And that's the one thing that P&W instilled in me as well. There are always going to be bad days. There are always going to be situations. And in a lot of times, the truck driver, the dispatcher, the person that answers the phone are the ones that have to bear the brunt of all that. And I make that a very, very, I make a point to let everybody that I work with here in this market in San Antonio, anybody in distribution, I've been there. I drove a truck. I know what it's like. I've been the guy that answers the phone. I've been the guy that's had to dispatch these orders out and have, you know, I have 2 trucks and I've got 5 first run deliveries that have to be there before 8 o'clock. And I know that it's difficult. And I think that the people have to appreciate that mentality because it's not like that everywhere. And I've seen some pretty heinous things over the 27 years I've been in this, but I believe you 100% when you say that will not be accepted. And Bradford's only going to work with the quality people that appreciate what you guys are doing, appreciate the level of service. I've seen you personally delivering materials on Sunday morning, and you know, you're out there hand delivering shit and dropping them off the back of a truck and ground dropping them. And, you know, we talk about it the next day about, man, you know, my back's not 20 years old anymore, but people need to respect that because that is the level of service you're going to get. If you're in the Columbus market, if you're anywhere in that central Ohio market, maybe not on the east side just yet, but if you're over on the side that's close, you guys got to call Bradford and see what's going on because it's going to be an amazing thing to watch. I couldn't be more proud to be partnered up with you, with the people in your organization who I know and hold very dear to my heart. And I just want to say before we round out episode 200 of Keepin' It Rio, I can't believe this is episode 200, folks. And it's been amazing. I was watching some of the old episodes the other day. I went back and watched episode 1, and it was an absolute pile of dog crap. And to see how far it's come and some of the people that I've had on this show in the 200 episodes, it is absolutely humbling to me. I love doing this. My sponsor, Roofer, has given me permission this year to also allow other sponsorships. So if anybody's watching and you want to throw a couple bucks my way, if you like what we're doing, I certainly would be more than happy to be a brand ambassador. I love doing that for my friends at Roofer. I love doing it for Bradford Roofing Supply because of the help you've given me with Rio Blanco and our friendship that we have. And my goal for this is 2,500. So I'm just getting started with it, but I appreciate everybody that watches, everybody that shares, everybody that likes. You told me a story the other day about when you were at the Blue Jackets game and some pretty big time people made mention of Keepin' It Rio. So it humbles me when I hear things like that, and I couldn't be more proud of it. And I appreciate everybody. So Until the next time we see each other, episode 201, which I've already got it in the can. It is a young man. It's going to be very impressive. He did over $1 million in residential sales in 7 months and with zero experience. So it's going to be awesome. That's going to be next Thursday at its regularly scheduled time. Jason, I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today to make episode 200 one that I can say I had Babe Ruth on my show, and 200's a big one. So I appreciate that. And until next time, like I always end every episode, the most corny ass tagline in the history of anything, everybody remember to keep on keeping it Rio. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you.